There's a moment in every car enthusiast's life when they stop buying just for now and start buying for the future. Cars that will not only serve you well on the road, but that with a bit of foresight could dramatically increase in value over time. BMW has produced some of the most iconic vehicles in automotive history. From track legends to executive cruisers, the brand's engineering DNA often mixes performance, precision, and everyday usability. But there's a second story that rarely gets told. Beneath the flashiest headlines and the most hyped collectibles lies a quieter world of underrated BMW models, cars that have been overlooked by most buyers, but respected by enthusiasts and mechanics. These vehicles combine real engineering merit with long-term desirability, and in many cases, their market value has not yet caught up with their actual significance. Today we're breaking down the top 5 underrated BMWs that are poised to skyrocket in value by 2026. If you want to buy a BMW now that could become a surprise classic one that will be worth far more in just a few years, this list is for you. Let's dive in. 1. BMW E46 M3 CSL. When most people think of an E46 M3, they imagine the standard coupe, and that's part of what makes the CSL, Coupe Sport Lightweight, and similar lightweight variants so undervalued. These cars were produced in limited numbers, with weight-saving measures, sharper chassis tuning, and a focus on driver engagement. While regular E46 M3 values have risen steadily, CSL models are still priced below what their significance deserves. They represent one of the purest expressions of BMW's ultimate driving machine philosophy. An engine that revs freely, a chassis that communicates every nuance of the road, and a manual or SMG gearbox that rewards skill. Collectors and performance purists are starting to rediscover these cars, not just as fast, but as mechanically honest and emotionally rich machines. With limited production numbers and an increasing appreciation for driver-focused cars in general, the CSL and other lightweight E46 variants are primed for a significant value jump by 2026. Mechanics also respect these platforms because they are robust and well-documented. The engines are not overly complex by modern standards, and the parts ecosystem is mature, which increases confidence among buyers planning long-term ownership. 2. BMW 2002 Turbo. The BMW 2002 series is legendary among enthusiasts, but the turbo variant remains surprisingly undervalued compared to its performance and historical significance. Produced during an era when turbocharging was still new, the 2002 Turbo was one of BMW's first experiments with forced induction in a road car. In many enthusiast circles, it's considered a missing link between classic naturally aspirated cars and the high-performance turbo cars that dominate today. The reason it hasn't always commanded massive prices is simple: scarcity of well-maintained examples. Many of these cars have been in storage, poorly maintained, or modified beyond recognition. But serious collectors and mechanics alike recognize the potential. This car represents a key milestone in BMW performance history. As classic value trends continue to favor early turbocharged models, especially ones that were ahead of their time, the 2002 Turbo is positioned to see a sharp increase in value by 2026, especially if interest in garage-kept, unmodified originals continues to grow. 3. BMW E38 M5. The original M5, the E28, is one of the most iconic BMWs ever built, but it has long been overshadowed by later generations in the eyes of mainstream buyers. That's starting to change. This car was a born-again sleeper, a performance sedan when performance sedans were not yet a genre. It combined a powerful inline-six engine with a large, comfortable four-door body, something that would later define the M5 formula for decades. Many collectors and enthusiasts now argue that the E28 M5 represents the purest version of the concept: minimal electronics, mechanical simplicity, and an engine that even now feels rewarding to rev and maintain. Currently, prices are climbing, but they are nowhere near the levels that comparable early performance icons have reached. Because of its historical significance, limited production, and enthusiast support, the E28 M5 is poised to see a significant value acceleration leading up to 2026, especially as collectors shift attention back to pre-digital performance cars. Mechanics often praise its straightforward engineering repairs and maintenance, while on the older side, are predictable and well understood. This further strengthens the confidence of long-term buyers. 4. BMW E31 8 Series. The BMW 8 Series from the 1990s is one of the most controversial and misunderstood cars in BMW's portfolio. At the time of its release, it was criticized for high cost and low sales, but that same rarity now makes it a prime candidate for future classic status. Within this lineup, the V12-powered models, especially the 850 Ci and related variants, stand out as engineering statements. This was a car designed with long-distance comfort, high-speed stability, and technological innovation in mind. It combined a luxe grand touring presence with a powertrain that was ahead of its time. Today, values for these cars have barely scratched their potential, particularly for well-preserved examples with original paint, interior, and documented history. Enthusiasts are slowly waking up to the fact that this car was not just a flagship. It was an example of how BMW could build something both powerful and refined, long before newer technologies became mainstream. Given the limited number of survivors and a growing collector interest in 90 seconds GT cars, the 8 Series V12 models have the potential to see dramatic value growth by 2026. Mechanically, these cars were engineered with durability in mind, and many of the issues that plague other cars of the era, electronics and cooling, are well documented and serviceable. That makes them less risky for buyers planning long-term preservation. 5. BMW E39 540i. When people talk about the E39 5 Series and its collector potential, they almost always mention the M5. However, there's another story hiding in plain sight. The 540i models equipped with the robust M62 and later S62 engines. These cars combine all of the E39's famous virtues: excellent chassis balance, comfortable ride, timeless design, with a powertrain that, in its own right, is strong and durable. The 6-cylinder M62 engine has earned a reputation among independent mechanics for being forgiving, accessible, and resilient, especially when compared to later, more complex power plants. Meanwhile, the V8 S62 engine, shared with the E39 M5, found its way into non-M variants in certain markets and has proven to be an outstanding long-distance engine when looked after properly. What makes these models underrated is simple. They arrived in the shadow of the M5 and the E39's broader reputation, so mainstream attention has not caught up to their actual potential. Prices for clean local examples with service history remain reasonable, far from where they are likely to be in a few years. As collector markets begin to value balanced performance sedans with robust mechanicals rather than just headline horsepower figures, this group of 540i models is positioned for a steep increase in desirability and price by 2026, especially among buyers who appreciate real engineering over media hype. Final thoughts. Every car on this list represents a moment in BMW's history when engineering, passion, and long-term thinking came together. These are not just vehicles, they are rolling proof that real automotive value is built over decades, not measured in trends or social media hype. If you're watching this in 2026, you're standing at a crossroads. You can either look back a few years from now and say, I should have bought one when I had the chance. Or you can be one of the people who recognize true potential before the rest of the market caught up. These BMWs are more than future classics. They are cars you can drive, enjoy, maintain, and grow with, while their value and reputation continue to rise. If this video helped you see BMW from a new perspective, support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing for more deep automotive stories, and leaving a comment below. And here's my question for you. Which BMW do you believe will be the next big collector car and why? Let's talk about it in the comments.